The readings for this first week in Lent are after stories, after the flood, after the baptism, after what happens next. The first of those readings from the Old Testament occurs after the flood. It's Genesis 9, 8 through 17. I invite you and your group to read that story now. Clearly, this is the end of the flood epic. The setting for this reading comes from all of chapters 6 through 9. You remember the flood story, how it comes about. God loses patience with his human creation, regrets having made it in the first place, decides to wipe it out and start over again. He finds a righteous man, Noah, and his family, instructs Noah to build the ark, and Noah constructs the ark, brings the animals on board, and then the floods open. What you may need to be reminded of, however, is that if you read the whole story, all 3 chapters of it, you discover that these are actually 2 stories woven together into one. They're different accounts of how many animals enter into the ark, for example. And the passage we just read is from the priestly account. The priestly writer was a writer during the period of the exile, and he tied his account of the flood to his account of the creation. It's a wet account. God steps into the mud and mess after the flood as Noah and his family are on Mount Ararat, and he offers Noah a covenant. He offers Noah the assurance that this will never happen again. That would be the presenting question of the text, wouldn't it? How can we trust God that this will never happen again? How can we believe that God won't again get this angry and destroy the creation? Well, we believe it because God says he won't. We believe it because God creates a covenant, both with Noah and with the whole creation. And the sign of the covenant is the rainbow in the heavens. The covenant is unconditional. The only conditions of this arrangement are on God. God takes all the obligations of the relationship on God's self. Never again, God says, never again will I destroy the earth. It's not conditioned on any response of ours. This covenant with Noah and the creation is a pure covenant of grace. The only thing God cannot do is break God's own word. And by giving his word to Noah and the creation, it gives us the confidence to trust that God will be faithful to us, that God will be faithful to the creation, and that God does not come to destroy, but to bring life. So one of the questions suggested by the Old Testament text this week is, can you see the rainbow through the rain? In other words, when life becomes overwhelming for you, can you entrust the future to God?